Some years ago, a pastor looked at me and said, "Who is following you?" I looked around, expected to see someone behind me, and I didn't find anyone. And my response was no one. Then he called a name. I knew the name of the person he called, but I couldn't understand why this person was allegedly following me spiritually. Attachments. There are people who come into your life and they never want to leave. There are people who ought not to even come into your life. Attachments could be in form of addictions, soul ties, covenants, and bonds. Attachments could be deadly. They could ruin a human being. As a matter of fact, attachments are ruining lives. Some people will never get to where God has planned for them because of attachments. There are marriages that will never work because of attachments. You hear of mommy's boy, daddy's girl. These are attachments. Such people struggle to make their marriage work because of attachments. When God told Abraham to leave Haran to a place where God would show him, God said, "Leave your kinsmen." But Abraham went with Lot. He didn't understand that he ought not to have attached himself to Lot on that journey. And it created a problem until there was a detachment. There are times when we need to evaluate ourselves and ask, what are we attached to? Whom are we attached to? How fruitful are these attachments? In 1 Samuel 18, the Bible tells us that when David finished speaking with King Saul, his soul was knit with Jonathan's soul. And Jonathan loved David just as he loved himself. That was a godly attachment because David was moving with the direction of the Holy Spirit. God was directing his footsteps. So that attachment was what God planned. There are seemingly harmless relationships that couples also have that are also destroying marriages without them realizing the fact that these are unnecessary attachments. A husband has a confidant who is a female and is not his wife. A wife has a confidant who is a male and is not her husband. These are sinful attachments. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 6 verse 17, "He that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit with him." When you become attached to someone that God has not permitted, you are already committing a sin. You are destroying your life. You ought to be detached from such relationships. Now, people think it's only when the relationship is sexual that is when it is sinful. You have a friend that you can confide in that is a female or a male, and you are attached to such a person. So much so that this attachment supersedes the relationship you have with your spouse. A husband needs to make a decision. He confides in his female friend. A wife needs to make a decision in her home. She confides in a male friend. Dangerous attachments. These attachments are deadly. These attachments lead to covenants. These attachments lead to soul ties. The question is, have you questioned yourself? Have you found out whom you are attached to? What you are attached to? It could be a family member. It could be something. It could be a habit that you are attached to, that you have become addicted to. But if you don't get rid of this attachment, you will not get to where God has planned for you. Who are you attached to? What are you attached to? It might be your time for detachment is now. Shalom.